counties in our country. And one counties in our country, 2,700 to 525, on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican. Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact, it's an astonishing record, 27-point swing, the most ever. Likewise, small business optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
That is Congressman Green of Texas, 77 years old. He is being escorted out of the chamber at the order of the Speaker of the House because he was not maintaining decorum during the president's speech.
Over the past 6 weeks,
Hi, Congressman. What were you shouting to the president, sir? Sir, what were you shouting to the president?
The president said he had a mandate. And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people. It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility, against our civility. He is a person who has consistently been used incivility against civility.
Do you think do you have a mandate? Is that what you said?
Well, look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social
So
Security.
were you saying you have no mandate? Is that what you just said?
That's what he has no mandate to cut Medicaid, none.
Is the only punishment that you were kicked out, sir? Is there something?
I don't know. Whatever the punishment is, I'm not fighting the punishment. This is about the people who are being punished by virtue of losing their health care. This is the richest country in the world, and we have people who don't have good health care. We've got to do better. And now we're about to cut Medicaid, which is for poor people. Health care has become wealth care for many people, and we can't afford to let that happen.
Is that the only thing that you're protesting?
No, I have other things I'm protesting. And I'm also working on my articles of impeachment. This president is unfit. He should not hold the office. 34 felony convictions, 2 times impeached.
Sir, tell me one more time what you were shouting in the chamber.
That he has no mandate to cut Medicaid.
That's what you were saying over and
Yes.
over. Thank you, sir.
Yes, no mandate. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
All right, what's going on, family? Welcome to another exciting edition. Hold on, I gotta do something about the sunlight. I have to address my screen. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. Hold up. Welcome. Guys, I'm sorry. I've been running back and forth. Today's been a busy day. I'm trying not to keep this live stream too long, but welcome to another exciting edition of Random Topic Thursdays, the hottest live stream here in the cosmos of ScrewTube, as well as X and Rumble and Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you all to do me a favor, please. Smash up the likes, hit that notification bell if you're not subscribed, but make sure you smash up the likes. Now, that's the only way we can defeat YouTube shadow ban on this channel, where they've messed with the algorithm. So make sure you smash up the likes, ladies and gentlemen. So I didn't come on Tuesday, and I know that was the big Donald Trump's speech. Tuesday was Mardi Gras, and as you know, your boy had a great time for Carnival with the Zulu parade. Even though it was short, they cut our route. Our route was cut in half basically because if you're from New Orleans, if you're familiar with it, or you may not, we go down Jackson Avenue, St. Charles, and St. Charles crossing over Poydras to over Poydras and then over Canal, to which we go down Canal to Basin Street. And well, when I say crossing over, we cross over, we go down Loyola and crossing over, we go down Poydras, cross over, to Loyola, which turns into Basin Street, and Basin to Orleans, which is where Zulu is located, which is always heavy and deep. We say Mardi Gras. It is Mardi Gras. I just said gras. Some people will say that, Mardi Gras. But nevertheless, we had a great time. And the turnout, especially on Poydras Avenue. Now, they altered it where we had to go straight to Poydras to the Superdome because what happened, we were under some type of wind advisory by the National Hurricane Service. And so the police superintendent, this principal-looking woman, she actually threatened to cancel it if she wanted to. The superintendent of the chief of police is, Kirkpatrick. And she was talking to kids, especially she was talking to us like fucking children. That's why I called her the principal, because when you hear her speak, I mean, she was telling the kids, she was telling everybody. I keep saying kids because that's how I felt. Make sure you go to the restroom before you come here. If you have to pee at home before you come, boys and girls, because the porta potties were going to be out of service. Yeah, they were pulling them, and I saw porta potties though, but they were pulling them because of the wind advisory. They were expecting, and I think a tornado did pass, but it didn't pass over New Orleans. I think it was in Plaquemines Parish where it hit. But there was, severe thunderstorm and weather after the parades were over. Later that evening is when it came. So they pushed it up real early. We had to get up. I had to be up by 1 o'clock in the morning. Let me rephrase. I had to be up there by 1. So, or really up by midnight and be there by 1. I didn't get any sleep the night before Carnival. Most people who participate in the parades, they don't, because you have to be up so early. You got to eat breakfast and you got to get your makeup done. So it's not a pleasant surprise. It's not a pleasant thing, but the ride was great. Of course, you don't like it when it stops down, but when you're on the float, you're throwing beads and people are screaming for you. It's a real fun experience. So I'll have pictures I'll send to everybody. But because when it's carnival time, everybody's drinking wine. But yeah, they had. Yeah, they can't. Yeah, they made us shorten our stuff. They could have let us. They could have let Zulu go on their original route, or I guess I didn't have a problem with them moving the time up, and I guess going the original route would have taken longer than getting us off the street, because we had to be off the street by the stroke of 12. The parade had to be over with because Rex follows Zulu. Zulu leads everything, so Rex had to come, and Rex. They come right after us. They canceled the truck parades, which also come after Rex. And so they canceled that. And that's supposed to be, I think, later this weekend. But the route, they didn't let the tramps walk. The Zulu tramps or the walking warriors, those are the people that walk in the neighborhood and so forth for carnival. I thought that was bad. I think they could have let them walk if they shortened the route. Let them walk early in the morning. Let them start it off. That's usually how it is. It wouldn't have been a problem. Let them walk. They could have let them walk if they were that bad or worried. They could have let them not get off the float, but let them walk, I guess, early in the neighborhood, at least on Jackson Avenue and and St. Charles. And up at that point, they could have gotten in the float because they had an empty float for them. Got on the float and then departed like that. That would have been helpful. Or let the tramp stay or walk on Orleans because that's where Zulu is located. They didn't do that. So, but neither here nor there, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to just tell you about that, why I was not on the other day, and you know why I was knocked out after all of that. But I did manage, believe it or not, even though I was exhausted, I couldn't really sleep even after that because I watched bits and I was watching what was going on with Trump addressing Congress in not a State of the Union, but I guess you could call it a State of the Union, but it was just a joint session address is what they call it. And to say the least, some of you seen the videos that have gone viral. You can see what this is titled. I said Love and Unhappiness because the representative from Houston, Texas, who he was born in New Orleans, Al Green, not the singer Love and Happiness Al Green. That's who I thought it was. But fake ass Ron Isley.
Mr. Speaker, and
he got the Mr. Biggs cane in his hand. Al Green got censured recently for disrupting the president's speech. Now, there are those who are going to defend Reverend, I call him Reverend. He's not the Reverend Al Green. Don't you know that I'm still in love? Show up in love with you. Yeah. He is not Al Grits Green. But Representative Al Green got censured today because he disrupted the president. Now, I know what people are going to say, well, it was wrong. He shouldn't have been censured. And they had 10 Democrats that voted with the Republicans for this. And they're going to also point out what happened about 12, actually a little bit longer than that, gosh. About, I want to say 14, 15 years, roughly 14 years ago, when Barack Obama was president. President Obama was speaking, I believe, on Obamacare, and Representative Joe Wilson called the president a liar. He actually got up and said, "You lie." And nothing happened to him. I don't believe he was censured, and he was flat out wrong for that, because when the president of the United States is joining Congress, and you can protest and so forth, to call him a liar was just disrespectful to him and to his office. Now, this is somebody who's not a Barack Obama fan, but right is right and wrong is wrong. I just call it like that. And the president, Trump, was talking about, you saw the video, what he was discussing earlier. He mentioned about a mandate, and Representative Green got called out for it. So now he's speaking to Congress, and you saw what his reasons were, why he spoke out, and they kicked him out. And you saw from looking at that, how our Congress is not united. That was a joint session, but it was really the pros and cons. It was a cheer session for Trump because the Democrats there, they had nothing to say. They weren't happy.
And still I rise. And still I rise, a proud, liberated Democrat, unbought, unbossed, and unafraid. And I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call to the attention of the House, this place that I revere, and notwithstanding recent events that I have great respect for, Mr. Speaker, I rise today in response to a censure that took place as it relates to my behavior. I have been told by some that they did not have an opportunity to hear the actual resolution as it was read. I have here HRES 189, the censure resolution as it relates to my behavior. I believe this resolution should be read. I am not in any way upset with the Speaker. I want people to know that the Speaker did what he was supposed to do. He did what he was supposed to do when we had the joint session of Congress. When I interrupted, the Speaker called it to my attention. He did it on multiple occasions. I have no reason in my heart to be upset with the Speaker. Later, persons came over and escorted me out. I appreciate them. They were very kind to me, the officers, very kind. They said kind words to me. And as a result of my behavior, I have been censured. I'm going to read the resolution and give some commentary. It reads, HRES 189. In the House of Representatives, Mr. Newhouse submitted the following resolution, which was referred to the committee on, and the copy that I have does not have a committee. I'm not sure it was referred to a committee. It may have come straight to the floor. But regardless as to how it arrived, it did. And I'm not contesting the procedure. The resolution reads, censuring Representative Al Green of Texas. Whereas on March 4, 2025, during the joint session of Congress, convened pursuant to House Concurrent Resolution 11, the President of the United States, speaking at the invitation of the House and the Senate, had his remarks interrupted by the representative from Texas, Mr. Green. Whereas the conduct of the representative from Texas disrupted the proceedings of the joint address and was a breach of proper conduct. And whereas, after numerous disruptions, the representative from Texas had to be removed from the chamber by the sergeant at arms. Now, therefore, be it resolved that 1, Representative Al Green be censured. 2, Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. And 3, Representative Al Green is censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. Some things bear repeating. That concludes the resolution. But some things bear repeating. I respect the Speaker. I have no ill feelings toward the Speaker. None toward the persons that escorted me away from the floor, because I did disrupt. And I did so because the president indicated that he had a mandate. And I wanted him to know that he didn't have a mandate to cut Medicaid. I did this because Medicaid is the only insurance many people have in this country. I am blessed. As I stand here now, there's a physician waiting. If something should happen, I will be taken to that physician. I have the best health care in the world.
You have the best health care in the world because as a representative, you get free health care though, Al Green. Al Green gets free I want you to say this. He's talking about Medicare, which I was talking to Judge Joe Brown earlier today before I came on here. And he actually, obviously, he's Team Trump. He condemned what Al Green did. And I want y'all to know this. He stated that he actually hates his Medicare. Judge Joe says it should be gutted. And I asked him why, and he said, essentially, the stuff he has to pay for and what it's doing is not adequate. On top of that, Al Green, he's a representative. He gets health care for the rest of his life. Even if you are a one-term congressman, you get health care for free. You and your family. Is Al Green truly suffering? Y'all know these people get free health care? And yes, there were other people who interrupted the president or made remarks. The thing with this, why he got censured, when you go back and look at the video, Al kept going back and forth with the president saying it wasn't a mandate. He didn't stop talking after when Mike Johnson asked him to stop. He warned him and he kept going. That's when he asked him to be removed. Now, personally, did I think he deserved to be censured? I didn't think it was a big enough thing to be censured. And a censure doesn't mean that the person is removed from, it doesn't mean that they're removed from Congress. He's not. But obviously, they censor you when they do that. A censorship basically is a silence feature. It's a statement. Basically, all it means is a statement of disapproval. That's all that is. So it doesn't stop the man from speaking or doing his duties. It's just saying he can't. It's a letter of essentially of disapproval. So it's really a symbolic. If you want to call it a symbolic nothing burger, you can call it that. I think all of it is for appearances, right? It is basically a form of public humiliation. That's essentially what it is. It's a spanking in front of the public. He's not excommunicated. He's not excluded, anything like that. So he's going to keep going on, and he was talking. There were so it was 224 votes to 198 with 2 present that he was censured.
There are other people who have less than I. I would have them have what I have. But I surely will not stand by and see them lose what little they do have. Medicaid is for people who don't have the kind of health care that 435 members of Congress and 100 members of the Senate have. But they do have some health care. It has been approved by legislation that the Energy and Commerce Committee would cut $880 billion from their budget. The overwhelming majority of that budget has to do with health care. I see no way for this cut to take place without cutting into Medicaid. I am going to fight the cutting of Medicaid. I hope that this comment, this message that I'm giving today will deter them and cause them to go a different way. Then they can say, we were never going to do it. Al Green just had this false notion. Well, let me have it. Don't cut Medicaid.
And y'all know Al Green's not, of course, Al Green did all of that to get, this is why he's did that. Al Green did all of that because now we're all talking about this. We're talking about what happened. He got attention for doing this by getting himself censured. So he makes himself out to be a sacrificial lamb. But Trump's speech, if we get back to it, even before the censure, he was roasting, if you watched it, Trump was roasting, essentially it was a roast battle because he was going in on all of his opponents, his enemies. He even applauded people, or called out people from, he called out Elizabeth Warren. He called up Pocahontas. I mean, it was, this was like a Comedy Central roast battle. I'm going to show y'all a video. Hold on. Y'all seen this? So.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain the quorum in the House. Mr. President, continue.
Thank you. Over the past 6 weeks, I have signed nearly 100 executive orders and taken more than 400 executive actions, a record, to restore common sense, safety, optimism, and wealth all across our wonderful land. The people elected me to do the job, and I'm doing it. In fact, it has been stated by many that the first month of our presidency, it's our presidency, is the most successful in the history of our nation. By many. And what makes it even more impressive is that, do you know who number 2 is? George Washington. How about that? How about that? I don't know about that list, but
I don't know about that
we'll
list,
take it.
but I'll take it. It's terrific. I'm better than George Washington, and George Washington didn't have to deal with the People's Republic of China, because that's where our problem comes. It always comes from China.
Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded, ever.
Hey, watch this. I watch what he says.
They heard my words and they chose not to come. Much easier that way. In comparison, under Joe Biden, the worst president in American history, there were hundreds of thousands of illegal crossings a month, and virtually all of them, including murderers, drug dealers, gang members, and people from mental institutions and insane asylums, were released into our country. Who would want to do that? This is my 5th such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way. So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
Right. Come on, guys. Watch what happens next.
Every day, my administration is fighting to deliver the change America needs to bring a future that America deserves, and we're doing it. This is a time for big dreams and bold action. Upon taking office, I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid. I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, which was costing us trillions of dollars that other countries were not paying. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. And I also withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council. We ended all of Biden's environmental restrictions that were making our country far less safe and totally unaffordable. And importantly, we ended the last administration's insane electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto workers and companies from economic destruction.
Watch.
To unshackle our economy,
Try to see when that.
I have directed that for every one new regulation, 10 old regulations must be eliminated, just like I did in my very successful first term. And in that first term, we set records on ending unnecessary rules and regulations like no other president had done before. We ordered all federal workers to return to the office. They will either show up for work in person or be removed from their job. And we've ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me.
Like me.
How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good. And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back. And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official language of the United States of America. I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
Is there a requirement you gotta always stand when the president makes a point? That's too much.
And likewise, I renamed for a great president, William McKinley, Mount McKinley again. Beautiful Alaska. We love Alaska. We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. And our country will be woke no longer.
Do they even know what woke means? What really woke? Brother Ryan and I were talking about this time. Shout out to Ron Hurd. I think he's watching the channel. A lot of people don't know what woke means. Woke is politics. Is MAGA Jersey Mike said it is silent. Woke means to be positive, is to be awake. It's really a positive thing, and a lot of people who are condemning it don't even know what it means. It's like the woman who was on television, I think on CNN, and couldn't give an answer to what woke means. Woke is actually a good thing, but the way it's being used and it's been misapplied is bad. Hold on. And he takes a jab at Ukraine and others. He took a jab at, it's a long video, but the Democrats were not clapping at all. He made this young kid
that has allowed him to serve as the captain of his local volunteer fire department, raised 7 children with his beautiful wife, Nicole, and over the years provide a loving home for more than 40 foster beautiful towns destroyed. Now, just as I promised in my inaugural address, we are achieving the great liberation of America.
I wish there was a breaking point where you could actually say You can actually show where the meeting points were, the key points that he had. But Trump gave DJ Daniel his Secret Service credentials. This is the kid
Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man
brain cancer.
who truly loves our police.
Yeah, and
His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer.
they made him an honorary secret agent. I look in the background, and this is something else everybody else pointed out. Nobody's clapping. Nah, not from the Democratic side. Nobody's even standing up there.
But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago.
And not a part of the ones in pink. That's for that you see in pink. That's for reproductive health, aka subortion. If you know what that means.
On a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
Yeah, down. Nobody in the back was clapping. So, yeah, you could tell it was just divided. And so, then here was the thing for me that I saw that I laughed at is when Trump took a shot at Elizabeth Warren. So,
conflict in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
he went at Elizabeth Warren.
2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans, but I want it to stop. Meanwhile, Europe has sadly spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine by far. Think of that. They've spent more buying Russian oil and gas than they have defending.
Let me stop here. How many of y'all know what the president of Ukraine, President Zelensky, did for a living before? Now, he just came out and apologized for what his behavior at the White House, but Vladimir Zelensky,
How many of y'all know this man was a model and a video dancer? Somebody showed me a video on Instagram where Zelensky was dancing in a music video in heels. Although they're saying it was so I look at Reuters. I'm glad I did this. I just checked this. So Reuters is saying a clip of a man belly dancing in red. This isn't what I saw. Hold on, I'm sorry. This thing keeps coming up. So this isn't what I saw. What I saw was a video they were sharing. Not in drag, but he was a background dancer. This is the video. Let me stop. I don't want to get a copyright strike. Maybe if he came in the White House like that, he probably would have gotten some more money. He should have done that. Hell, if he had done that in the Biden administration, he got $350 billion. Shit, he should have did it before Biden left office and got it. Man, I would have been coming back and forth to the White House in every type of article of clothing if I wanted 150 million bucks, 150 billion, 200 billion. Shit, they'd have thrown shit. He'd have gotten a lifetime achievement award. Did y'all see that? Yeah, that brother Eddie Griffin and some other people put that video out. I saw. I believe that was the president of the Ukraine previously, before he was president, where he was dancing in a music video. Oh my God. So it reminds you of MAGA Jersey Mike said, reminds me of Zoolander Derelict. Oh, the Zoolander movie with Ben Stiller. Yeah. Zoolander was almost over 20 years ago, which is, gosh, a long time. I had hair then. I was young. I was a teenager. My teens. Oh, my God. Yeah, enjoy them teens. They go quick. So, yeah, Trump was roasting everybody, and Trump came out, yeah, like a boss. Now, like I say, I'm not a fan of Trump. Like I don't think we should, especially Black people, we ought to be worshiping any politician. Really, nobody should be worshiping politicians because they're flawed. All of them, Democrat, Republican, they're all flawed. But there are aspects that Donald Trump has that I do like. I do like the reopening of the Kennedy assassination files, the King files. That was something that no Democratic president, not Bill Clinton, not Barack Obama, not Joe Biden ever did. That was something I think that they dropped the ball on. They certainly dropped the ball on a lot of racial discrimination laws that they could have passed, that they could have done. I mean, hell, when Joe Biden was president and the vice president, who is a Black woman, came in office, there were things they could have done. She could have done. They didn't do that. One of the things we talk about, especially with the prosecution, they're talking about pardoning Derek Chauvin per se, because Elon Musk is supposedly requesting that.
Derek Chauvin is, if the feds pardoned him, he wouldn't be released. He would be released from federal prison, but he would still be a convicted felon because, remember, he's still doing time in the state. Now, I'm not in favor of pardoning Derek Chauvin, but like Brother Ron Hurd and I, we had a conversation. He said, we're worried about the wrong thing. What about pardoning all of these other black freedom fighters who are in trouble, who haven't been pardoned? I know we focused about the wrong thing, or we're not talking about everything that we should be focusing on. Why are we not talking about group economics? Why are we not talking about having our own businesses, buying a block of land, supporting one another? That's a problem. And I understood what he was trying to say. But anyway, I digress. So I got to move on to a couple of things because I said I was going to keep this to like an hour, so well, maybe a little bit more over an hour. We are, first of all, make sure you are smashing up the likes, hit that notification bell. Thank you, MAGA Jersey Mike. I think this is your first time on the channel. I've seen you. Make sure you subscribe. And for everybody else, shout out to you, Danielle. Drop something in the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle as you love me for my time, pay me for my time. As you know, the channel's not monetized. So I want to talk about this too, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say a special rest in power. We're losing a lot of legends. Roy Ayers, the man who wrote the song Everybody Loves the Sunshine, he was a percussionist as well as a record producer out from California. Passed away at the age of 84 years old. And Roy Ayers, that's the song I love. I know him from. Everybody loves the sunshine. Do what I do when I do when I do. Yeah. I love that song. According to a report that was posted on Facebook, his family announced his passing on Wednesday evening, saying, quote, "It is with great sadness that the family of legendary vibraphonist, composer, and producer Roy Ayers announced his passing, which occurred on March 4th, 2025 in New York City after a long illness." The post read. They went further and the message continued. "He lived a beautiful 84 years and he will be sorely missed. His family asks that you respect their privacy. At this time, a celebration of Roy's life will be forthcoming." According to ABC News, Mr. Ayers was born in Los Angeles and was musically inclined from a young age. His website describes he formed a music group in his early years in high school before studying advanced music theory at Los Angeles City College. In the 60s, he was an award-winning jazz vibraphonist and transformed into a popular R&B band leader in the 70s and 80s. Ayers' hit song Everybody Loves the Sunshine came out in 1976, included on his album of the same name, released with his Roy Ayers Ubiquity Band. Some of Ayers' projects through the years include his 1978 album Let's Do It, which featured gospel singer Mary Clayton on several tracks. You Might Be Surprised was released in 1985, and in later years, Nasty, which was released in 1995. This is a clip from ABC News. Let's play that for a minute. There you go.
Easy listening, jazz music. There's a reason we're playing this, because we have once again discovered the healing power of particularly jazz.
It took away my soundbite. I was going to come in there after and help you understand which music would be the most associated to calming features and also apparently to pain. So this is a new study from UC Irvine. It looks at over 120 participants. To it, you feel like it relaxes your ambient experience, and I think some of those qualities.
This is not a clip on Roy Ayers, but jazz listening. And since we're talking about Roy Ayers, I guess jazz, and he's involved in it, I guess that was fitting. But Mr. Ayers, I thought that was a video they were going to have. Quote, the video says, the article goes on to say, Mr. Ayers in a statement once stated, "I listen as I play, and I'm not caught up in defining the type of music I play. In other words, others are more discerning than me when it comes to defining music, have called what I do neo soul." And that's cool with me. You know, it's all about changing, really, and being multi-versatile. Ayers once said in an interview published on record label BBE's website. Mary J. Blige even gave a tribute saying, "Rest in peace, Roy Ayers." Yeah. Brother Dwan B did a tribute to him briefly about it, about his impact, especially from out in Los Angeles, the R&B music scene that he influenced. Rest in peace to the brother. Rest in peace to him. Uh, you know, I certainly love that song. Everybody loves the sunshine. Uh, everybody loves the sunshine, literally, because that song, whenever that comes on, it's one of those songs you got to stop and listen to. And Mr. Ayers played he did a damn good job with it. My life, my life, my life, my life in the sunshine. Boom, ba-doom, boom, ba-doom. It's ranked on Pitchfork placed the title Everybody Loves the Sunshine track at number 72 on the 200 best songs of the 1970s. Right. It had the drone scent note through most of the cut. And that song has been sampled by over 200 times by different artists. Yeah, Dr. Dre sampled it on his album, Tupac, Mary J. Blige. Yeah, it's a very popular song. So shout out to Mr. Ayers. May he rest in power. May he rest in peace to his family. He had a storied career, and I add him as a pioneer in Black music and all music, but Black music in particular. This is a very, very well accomplished brother, a composer, a band leader, a singer, and a record producer. He knew what he was doing. So rest in power to the man who is called the godfather of neo soul. It's a shame, isn't it, that we lost Angie Stone over the weekend, over Saturday morning. And today we find, yesterday we lost Roy Ayers. And a few weeks before that, remember, Jerry Butler had passed. And then Roberta Flack right after Jerry Butler. So it's been a sad time for the world of music, but God is in control at all times. And we, of course, send our condolences to Mr. Ayers' family and friends and fans all over the world. So rest in peace to brother Roy Ayers. And we have some even more sad news, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to the update on the hazing death of a young brother who I didn't know him personally, but I knew him through other people, and it just seemed like a very pleasant young man, Mr. Caleb Wilson, age 20 years old, who died in an apparent hazing ritual out in Baton Rouge at my home. You know, Baton Rouge is like my adopted home. After Katrina, I went to Southern University. I graduated there in 2008. So this is a double-edged sword for me that this happened not only to this young man, but also to this young brother, but also at my school. Essentially, although I'm not going to, for legal purposes, I'm not going to say they were involved, but they're connected, I guess you could say, in a way, because it was the Omega Psi Phi chapter out in Baton Rouge that the young brother was pledging. Apparently, he was killed, it seems, from a incident involving this a hazing episode. Now, of course, the autopsy has come out and it says it's inconclusive, but nevertheless, it seems like this has happened as a result of a hazing incident, but all circumstantial evidence points to that, because we're finding out that the story that was originally told to us that he died or collapsed doing a ritual at a park out in Baton Rouge at Sherwood Forest, and I'm familiar with the parks. That whole story, even when I heard it, didn't sound right, because why would they be? Now, I'm familiar with Sherwood Forest and Southern. Southern is located right off the Mississippi River bank. If you've ever been to Baton Rouge, it's right along the river, and it's on Scenic Highway, Harding Boulevard. So why would they go all the way to Sherwood Forest, which is about roughly 20 minutes away? Let's just say. Something about it didn't make any sense. And There was a tribute to Caleb. There's actually a tribute going on tonight, a second line they're doing for him because Caleb was a musician. He was in the marching jukebox, the human jukebox. They had a visual for him, and there were some new details that came out regarding his passing. And I'm just going to play this. This is courtesy of Fox WVUE. That's Caleb's father here. And I can only imagine the pain that Corey Wilson and his, I don't know if he and his wife were married, if he and Caleb's mother was married, but I'll just say Mrs. Wilson, Corey's mother, is going through.
For the love y'all gave my son.
Loved ones remember a local student whose death raises questions about hazing and the
Fair use.
potential consequences.
Tonight, Caleb Wilson's impact shines through the many lives he touched with services across Louisiana, including in his hometown of Kenner.
Good evening once again. I'm John Snell.
And I'm Meg Gatto. 20-year-old Caleb Wilson died in Baton Rouge after a source says he was hit in the chest during a hazing ritual.
Jacob Bradford shows us how his church in Kenner celebrated his life.
Well, Meg and John, parishioners brought large pictures of Caleb Wilson and honored his passion of music tonight. We spoke to the pastor at Pilgrim Baptist Church who says his own son was very close to Caleb and says he will miss seeing the young man around.
At Pilgrim Baptist Church, Caleb Wilson's passion for music shone through. The 20-year-old Kenner native was a member of the Southern University Human Jukebox Marching Band and studied mechanical engineering. The church's pastor says Caleb's family history runs deep through its halls.
Caleb grew up in this church from a baby. He was baptized here. So
That's about 100 black. That's Dr. Mitchell Stevenson. I know him well from 100 Black Men.
Life, as a matter of fact, his entire family, his father and his mother, grandfather, who was a former pastor of this church for 44 years.
Pastor Mitchell Stevens says when Caleb was home from college, he would normally bring his trumpet with him to the church.
He played his trumpet, and so many times when he was in from college, he would play for one of our worship services. But just seeing him around. So he was always at my house, or my son was at his house. So just missing the closeness of our families.
His mother and father were both surrounded by hugs and love.
We need some healing, just loving up on each other, showing some fellowship with each other.
Last
We need
week,
some answers. Healing can come after justice comes. We need some answers. The family, friends, everybody needs answers as to what happened to this young man.
Caleb died after what is being investigated as a hazing incident, allegedly at a warehouse off campus. He died after a source says fraternity members struck him in the chest, causing him to collapse and have a seizure. But his pastor says Caleb's light still shines bright, even though he is not here physically anymore.
Actually, I'm theming tonight as a bright light, and he was a bright light to this church, this community. So, just an all-around good guy.
And before coming to the prayer service in Kenner, Caleb's parents attended a vigil at Southern University. His father says Caleb really loved the Human Jukebox Band.
When they allowed us to go into his apartment, his uniform was laid out and ready for this Mardi Gras season. He knew. He said, we're going to get to Alligator. We're going to get Jackson State, and anybody get in our way this week. He was ready.
His father thanked the Human Jukebox for the support they showed Caleb, and friends gave Caleb the nickname Cheese because of his smile and how he made others smile too. John?
Thanks, Jacob. The warehouse where Wilson allegedly
Now watch
collapsed
this,
is co-rented.
This is very important. This warehouse, this is in Baton Rouge. Now, when I heard this, my mom thought that if this was the same warehouse that if you remember, I did a video about Baton Rouge and the Proud unit did out in Baton Rouge, and they have been investigated, especially lawsuits have been filed against them for how they handled suspects with confessions in this warehouse. She thought it was this one, but it's not. To my knowledge, and you're going to listen very carefully, this warehouse is owned by Cleve Dunn Jr., who is a councilman out in Baton Rouge. So I'm gonna let you finish.
By a Baton Rouge councilman. Sources say at least 9 pledges were in line at the building when Wilson was struck in the chest. The East Baton Rouge Parish Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr. says he learned about the warehouse's involvement when our sister station, WAFB, started asking questions. His business associate, Todd Smith, says that his son is an Omega. The DA says charges against someone are likely.
So Todd Smith, this is a person that Mr. Dunn sublet. It came out that his son, Mr. Smith's son, is an Omega. Now, we don't know all of the facts that's coming in, but some things are starting to sound a little bit clearer as to why Caleb was there in the first place.
Depending on what the autopsy reflects or comes back and all the other witness statements, possibilities of negligent homicide, manslaughter, as opposed to just the hazing death.
Moore says obstruction of justice charges are also on the table after frat members allegedly lied about where the fraternity ritual took place. Caleb Wilson was a member, as we mentioned, of the Southern University Marching Band, and organizers of tomorrow's Second Line in his honor invite other musicians to join them. It starts at 5:30 at Tuba Fat Square on St.
That chapter very well forgets suspension. That chapter could be dissolved out there in Baton Rouge. That chapter on Southern University, and I know them, that very well could be dissolved after this, because you're talking about a criminal investigation now where new details that we didn't know about have now come out, where the story was fabricated. You're talking about obstruction of justice charges, and especially when it involves a life that had been taken. And let's say whoever punched him, they get charged with manslaughter, or it could be multiple people. You're talking about principals to manslaughter, or at worst, if it's a second-degree murder charge, because second-degree murder, and I've explained before, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be in a commission of the crime, but if you have the intent not only to kill or the intent to harm someone, that's murder. In Louisiana, under the revised statute, I'm going to just show y'all right quick. They weren't banned from our campus already. They may have been reinstated. And look, the Omegas, I remember the Alphas, I remember the Kappas used to, when I was on Southern's campus, I never pledged. I never pledged for this reason. And I know there are some people who are Omegas, who are Alphas, who are in that Divine Nine that are going to be mad with my statement, or mad because we make it sound like this reflects the entire Divine Nine. This is not us. This is not this. But damn that. I can have an opinion on this. This young man should still be alive. Now, did everybody's experience the same? Of course it isn't. I know people who pledge the grad chapters of these fraternities, and they don't necessarily, I'm not going to say hazing doesn't go on, but someone I know, someone I'm close with, stated he didn't get hazed in the grad chapter, like talking about it when he pledged Alpha. But whether it happens with other fraternities, it probably does, and nobody says anything. You know, when you're talking about grad chapter, you're dealing with people who are adults now. You're an adult. You're in your late 20s or 30s. You're not going to bend over and let somebody beat you. You're not going to go around scrubbing dishes or peeling potatoes for all day. That's just not something you do. But if you read the second, but when you're young and impressionable, like Caleb, you're 19 years old or 20 years old, you're trying to join a fraternity and make an impact. And this is what happens. So second-degree murder is the killing of a human being when the offender has specific intent to kill or to inflict great bodily harm. Now, when they punched him, did they think it was going to cause, and we don't know what happened, but did they think it was going to kill him? Probably not. Did they think it was going to cause an injury or something? I don't know. I would be speculating. But it very well could be, they could be charged with murder. Nurses with manslaughter, basically, it's a homicide, which would be murder under either Article 30, which is the first degree murder statute, or 30.1, which is the second degree murder statute. But the offense is committed in a sudden passion or a heat of blood immediately caused by provocation, sufficient to deprive an average person of his self-control and cool reflection. Provocation shall not reduce a homicide to manslaughter if the jury finds that the offender's blood had actually cooled, or that an average person's blood would have cooled at the time the offense was committed. Now, it could also be a homicide committed without any intent to cause death or great bodily harm. So manslaughter could be a purported charge. However, this is still, and of course, that's better than a murder charge, because murder requires a specific intent, and it also is life, mandatory life in prison with no parole. Versus manslaughter, you're looking at imprisonment for not more than 40 years. So that's terrible either way, especially if you're a young man at Southern University's campus and you're facing a manslaughter charge, and you're looking at possibly, not saying it would, but 40 years in prison is bad. A negligent homicide could also be it when the killing of a human being by criminal negligence. And that's still a felony. And it says that whoever commits this crime of negligent homicide shall be in prison with or without hard labor for not more than 10 years, fine not more than $5,000 or both. So these are still felonies. They're still bad. And forget that chapter being suspended. They can be dissolved. That's also a possibility. This was unsolicited based off of the reports that we say, because they did this at a warehouse. They did unsolicited pledging and hazing. And Southern has suspended any and all Greek activities. Now, hazing is against the law in the state of Louisiana. And that was because in 2017, there was a young man out in Baton Rouge who was trying to join a fraternity, a white kid out in Baton Rouge who drank himself to death, Max Groover. And that's Article 40.8. I'm going to show you the article. We have a lot of code articles, but this is the anti-hazing law, the Max Groover Act. So I don't know who Hiller Moore is. He's the DA of East Baton Rouge. He says, it says here, it should be unlawful for any person to commit an act of hazing. Any person who commits an act of hazing shall be fined up to $1,000, in prison for up to 6 months, or both. It also states that if hazing results in a serious bodily injury or death of the victim, or the hazing involves forced or coerced alcohol consumption that results in the victim having a BAC, that's blood alcohol concentration, of at least 0.30% by weight in grams of alcohol per 100 cubic centimeters of blood, any person who commits an act of hazing shall be fined up to $10,000 and in prison with or without hard labor for up to 5 years. This is terrible. So, and Omega Psi Phi, you know, the national chapter, they released a statement
I know someone who knows the family, who knew this young man, mentored him, and gave me some details about it. I don't want to necessarily share because I'm an attorney, and like you, I must see the evidence and due process. I don't want to speculate, but based off what I heard, this was something that is very bad. It is the news information and I heard is worse than what you think. And you can see that because if they actually lied about what happened and dropping him off, they fabricated it, then you know that it's bad. You can just imagine. I won't say everything, but you look into it. Rest in power to you, Brother Caleb. I'm sorry that your visit here on Earth was short. I pray for you. I pray for your family. Southern University is going to have some decisions to make with these accusations, with these charges, because these kids are not only just facing expulsion, they're facing criminal charges. They're facing prison. Yeah. I'm sorry about all of this. Really am. All right. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We're going to get up out of here. Make sure you get that notification bell. I got some more work to do. But anyway, guys, y'all be safe and be blessed. Also, drop something in the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. You love me for my time, pay me for my time. And I will see you on the next one. Be one, be safe, and be blessed. Peace out. Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.